Very good evening, everyone. We are glad to have you all today with us for the third session of Skills Guide 2.0, which is organized by the Professional Skills team of the Vikings Club in University of Sri Jawadhanapura. Did you know that public speaking is the world's most #1 fear? But no more. Today we have one of the most prominent personality to speak with us regarding how to overcome this fear within ourselves. Before introducing him, let me remind you that if you have any questions regarding the session, please drop them to the chat box. So we will be able to answer them on the pile. So he is a well-experienced news anchor, an English news anchor at ITN, and a television personality, and also a digital media influencer. So, without any further delay, let me welcome Mr. Sasanka Dias for today's session as the resource person. Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening, Malshi. It's great to be here and to talk about a topic which is one of the most important skills for an individual. Thank you.
We are more than happy to have you here, sir. So today our session will be not as a presentation, but today's session will be more lively as the topic is itself a lively topic. So, sir, I have a few questions which is prepared with me. As well, we have questions from our students which are ready, which are waiting to be answered from you, sir.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you very much for the students who have already sent the questions, and I'm more than happy to answer them.
Wonderful, sir. So to start the session, let me go to the beginning of this topic, sir. So as we all know, there is a worst fear within ourselves regarding this public speaking. So some of us might think that I'm not born to be a public speaker. This is not my cup of tea. We can think, someone can think like that. So is it possible for anyone to be a public speaker, or is this a born ability, or can this be developed within ourselves? What do you think about that, sir?
Yeah, that's a great question, Malshi. So what I believe is that public speaking skill is a leadership skill, right? It's not only required for you to get into the media industry, maybe into journalism, so on and so forth, but it's a leadership skill. Whatever career that you aspire for, you need the public speaking skill. So to answer your question, public speaking can be practiced, and I believe that anyone can be a good public speaker if you really do your homework well. And talking about the leadership, maybe 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, you will be a leader, maybe in an organization, maybe in a society. So when you're leading people, you need to talk. You need to inspire your followers, your subordinates, so on and so forth. That's why you need to improve your public speaking skills. And I think anyone can do it, as I said earlier, but you need to do your homework properly.
So as you told, anyone can be a public speaker, and this is a leadership skill. Now this is something. This is something new, sir. I haven't heard public speaking as a leadership quality. I have never heard that.
So let me elaborate on that. So it is about presentation, right? So the way you present yourself. Now you have opportunities. You may get opportunities in the future. Now you're in university. Maybe we have school students joining us, so on and so forth, right? So 5 years, 10 years down the line, you'll be working, right? You'll be leaders in organizations, as I told you earlier. So when you become that leader, you have subordinates who are looking at you, and they look up to you as well. So they will follow the way you speak, the way you dress, the way you're groomed, so on and so forth. So this is a matter of personality as well. The way you project yourself in front of other people. It's a separate brand that you create for yourself. So public speaking is an integral part when you're building your own brand, being your own self, so on and so forth. So what you need to remember is that if I elaborate again on the leadership aspect of developing public speaking skills, is that when you're presenting, you may have a presentation at a corporate and your team is watching you and you're presenting to the management. So then you need the public speaking skill. If you don't have that, how are you going to convince your management to maybe agree to the proposal that you're presenting? So this is why public speaking is important. Whatever career that you choose, public speaking is a must.
Yes, sir. Now that's a wonderful point that you brought up, because when we think of the topic public speaking, many of us are thinking, okay, now we're taking the microphone and getting onto a stage. Now this is what we call as public speaking, but that is not. This is basically like presenting yourself. Anything that you speak out, this is public speaking, isn't it, sir?
Exactly. So what you have to understand is that the way you speak, the tone of your speech, everything matters. So the polite tone that you will use in your delivery, that matters. So if you take various professions, so you speak to people, right? If you're a call center agent, there's a particular way that you talk. That is also part of public speaking. And when you're a good public speaker, you become a good networker as well. You get to know people. You're not afraid to go and talk to people, learn from them, so on and so forth. So it goes a long way, Malshi. This is a massive topic, right? It's very hard to talk about public speaking in 1 hour, right? And then the trends keep changing every day. So what we need to understand is that we need to keep up with the trends and learn the new ideas and become good public speakers. Do your homework and then you'll be there.
Yes. Okay. Now you mentioned do your homework. Let me bring up my next question from those words. So to become an expert in any profession, there are kind of qualities that we need to improve from ourselves. So the same thing goes with the public speaker. So what are the qualities that you should demonstrate within ourselves? Like what are the qualities that we should bring up from ourselves to develop to become expert in this public speaking? What are the kind of homeworks that we should do?
Yeah, so another great question, Malshi. So what you need to really understand is that you're given a topic. Now imagine you're given a topic, for example, and there is a story or there is information that revolves around that topic. So it's your duty to do your own research. That is what you call homework. So doing the research is part of that homework. So when you do the research, you come up with a script, right? You come up with a script for your speech. And once you are done with this speech or the script, then you need to practice. So practice. Number one is also practice. 2, 3, all 3 steps is practice, right? So what you really need to get into your mind is that if you don't practice, you're not confident and you're not ready. And once again, the best place to practice your speech or whatever presentation for that matter is in front of the mirror, right? So always remember, a presenter's best friend is the mirror. So that's the best option. So the homework is doing your own research, knowing your audience, do the research, prepare a script, and practice as much as you can.
Yes, sir. So as this is a very interesting topic to me personally, I'm getting so much of questions to my mind when you're speaking on this. So one question that popped me when you were talking about this confidence. Okay, I have seen there are many moderators, public speakers, in terms of the students from our level. I've seen there are many people. And also one time I came across a very brilliant character, a very brilliant moderator, wonderful public speaker. But still, he was overconfident about himself and got into trouble on stage. What do you think about this factor, like being overconfident?
Yeah, I think being overconfident or being complacent is not an option, Malshi. Right? What you really need to get into your mind or understand is that you should have respect towards your audience, right? So you can't be overconfident because you learn every day, right? You learn from the questions that your audience asks, so on and so forth. So being overconfident will harm your image. If you really struggle on stage, as you said, that tarnishes your image. So it doesn't matter whether your experience is 25 years or 30 years or 35 years. It's just that on that particular day, you need to perform well. It's a new day. It's a new situation, right? It's a new audience and a new environment altogether. So it doesn't mean that even if you have 25 years of experience, on that particular day, that particular performance, you have to deliver your 100%. So you can't be overconfident about yourself. It's actually something that you should not do when it comes to public speaking. I think that's a great question, and it's a don't in public speaking. I put it in that way.
Yes, as you told, we must be prepared with the proper agenda, with the proper script, and also by practicing from ourselves. And
Exactly.
we should be prepared and to have, as you said, that's a wonderful thing that you said, like have respect to your audience.
Exactly.
Indeed. And also,
yes.
Again, let me start my next question from the word audience. So, when we are presenting ourselves or when we are presenting this to a particular audience.
Malshi, before going into that question, so since we talked about confidence in the previous question, so let me tell the story, right?
For sure.
This story is dating back to 2002. It's about 19 years ago. Sorry, about 20 years ago. So I was in grade 10. So I got the opportunity to speak in front of my friends in the college assembly. So I just went there, turned towards my friends, and I started shivering from my head to toe. And I was just able to speak about 5 lines, and I then walked off. I said, thank you very much, and walked off. So that's how I started. Right? So now today I'm talking to you, but it's a long journey. It's a long story short. So what I always say is that you need to take action. When you get an opportunity at your school or university to maybe deliver a speech, to host an event, grab that opportunity and do the best. Because you will discover yourself when you do it. You need to take that action. So relating or connecting back to the factor of confidence, right? You need to take action. Then you will know that, all right, I'm good at this as well, right? So that type of feeling, that type of satisfaction that you will gain through taking action. So let's come back to your question about the audience. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this from your life story, sir. Was it your passion that brought you here today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a dream of becoming a news anchor. So that was like, it was, I see myself on TV. So that I visualize that. So visualizing success is also part of public speaking. That's another point that I want to emphasize is I used to watch TV news sitting on the floor, and I was thinking to myself, what if I can be one day? So yeah, so that's a long story short.
Yeah,
If you
so I
visualize,
suppose,
if you
yeah.
really, if you have the will, you definitely have a way.
So I suppose that you're having the best self-satisfaction from your job, from doing what you love.
Yes, and then I think being in it for about 15 years. I'm not currently presenting news, but throughout 15 years I have done that. I have done that service, so I'm satisfied with the 15 years, and very grateful to the organization, ITN, Independent Television Network, for giving me those opportunities, which have kept me in good stead up to date.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for revealing your life story, because that will indeed add some motivation to all our viewers today. And let me get back to the questions about the audience. Okay, when we are presenting something to an audience, of course, the content might not be very interesting always. This is depending upon the audience. So, and also there are some instances which we face, like the audience is not friendly. The audience can be unfriendly, they can be uninterested about our topic or about the content that we are speaking, or maybe they are having a bad impression about the speaker or something like this. So if we are getting negative vibe or any negativity from the audience, what are the things that we need to develop within ourselves to handle this situation, and how can we manage this? Or how can we manage, like, without making this audience into a boring part? How can we keep them interestingly?
Number one is you have to be positive, right? So that's number one. If the vibe is negative in the audience, you have to be positive, because you are the one in control of that audience, right? Now, I mean, maybe this is kind of a joke. So these days, people say that you have to be positive, other than your PCR test, right? Other than your PCR test, everything has to be positive, right? So just to elaborate on that, and number one is being positive. And the other factor is that when you are delivering a public speech or any presentation for that matter, you need to use storytelling, right? You write a story that maybe a story relating to your childhood, maybe a story relating to one of your friends, something that has happened to him or her. Likewise, so there are certain situations that you can relate stories, and when you really tell a story, people listen, because human brains are drawn towards stories. But what you have to remember is that you should not create confusion in your content, right? In turn, our brains, human brains, deviate from confusion. If something is confusing, you don't want to look at it, or you don't want to read about it, or you don't want to watch, listen, or whatever, if it's confusing. That's the nature of the brain. So, but the human brains are drawn towards stories. That's why marketing campaigns use storytelling. Branding use storytelling, right? Uses storytelling. So even in your speech, you can tell a story, right? And that story needs to be practiced. You have to practice the story as much as you can in a way that it attracts the audience to you. So number one is you need to be positive with your body language, with your tone, with your confidence. You need to smile, so on and so forth, right? Smile as in an appropriate way. You don't need to laugh or anything, but just smile and create that positive vibe. And then in turn, you will get the same response from the audience. So it's a matter of being tactful, being diplomatic, but you need to carry yourself with a positive attitude and a positive mindset, and visualize success, as I told you earlier. Always visualize the audience applauding. These are very blissful situations that you can get into. Right? Then you are confident, right? And one more thing I want to emphasize is that your attire, whenever you're delivering a public speech, your attire plays a massive role in your confidence, especially for you all, Malshi, as girls. You're always concerned about your attire, right? You don't need to deliver a public speech, but anywhere you go, if you're not dressed properly, it bothers you, right? So likewise, irrespective of gender, right, male or female, if you're delivering a public speech, you need to have your attire properly. Then you're more confident. Your confidence increases. Then I think you'll do a better job.
Yes, sir. As you told, to keep the audience more engaged, you told about storytelling. I have heard about this quote, like public speakers are the world's #1 liars, because they are making up stories which have not really happened, isn't it? Just to keep this audience engaged.
Yes, so I think if you take it in another perspective, it is a tactic or a technique used by public speakers to explain or intimate a certain situation or a certain incident. Because when it's storytelling and it's simple, people understand. Always what you need to remember is your language has to be simple as possible. As much as possible. It has to be simple as much as you can. Because if it's too advanced, if someone is listening to you and he wants to refer to a dictionary to understand what you say, it doesn't serve the purpose. So always remember, when you're speaking, don't use advanced words. Here and there you can use on and off, but try to make it simple as possible. Because people have enough and more problems. They don't want advanced words and don't understand what you say. They just need it simply, right? So, and the other thing is that when it comes to public speaking, I don't know whether you all have heard this. There is a famous saying, a famous quote from Sir Winston Churchill, right? So, a good public speech is like a woman's skirt, right? It should be long. It should be short enough to create interest and long enough to cover the subject, right? So, no, that's a saying. It's a famous saying. So when you really think of it, yeah, it is hilarious, but it gives a fantastic message. It just sums up everything about a public speech. So I'll say it again. If you want to write it down, not a problem. So a good public speech is like a woman's skirt. Should be short enough to create interest and long enough to cover the subject. So even when you Google, you can find it. It's a very famous quote. So likewise, you have to understand what you say, right? You should understand your speech first, and then your audience will understand what you say.
Yes, sir. As I mentioned, like about this liars part, I just referred to Mr. Dhananjay Hettiarachi, who was the world's champion back in 2014. I had a chance to speak with him through interview.
That's great.
So when we were talking about his particular speech, he told, okay, I never went to jail. That was a story which was made up just to keep the audience engaged and to make the speech interesting. And also, even when we are in this gavel and all these extracurricular activities, when we have to present ourselves, of course, we don't have that much of stories to present actually. So we are making up things. So again, yes, sir.
So I think
again, yes,
I think you have spoken to the best, and you have interviewed the best, right? Dhananjay is like He's the hallmark of public speaking. He has been the world champion public speaker in 2014. And I think he has taken Sri Lanka's name to the globe, and he has put us on the map. So yeah, so you create stories to create that interest, right?
Yes.
So as I told you, that is to intimate or to make the audience understand what you say. When it's a story, people will remember the story and then understand the fact. That's why we use storytelling.
And also keep the message simple as possible.
Exactly. Spot on.
Yes. So, when we are discussing about this public speaking, sir, this is not a one-night process. We all know that. This needs time. This needs practice, and this is like deserving many more other things from our part. So, sir, we don't have time to go and practice ourselves when we are in a job, isn't it? We don't have time when we are working somewhere. Now, that is the place that we have to put ourselves into not practicing ourselves to show what we have practiced from all those years. So, can I know like how the extracurricular activities like debate competitions, or else maybe like working with different associations, working as presenting ourselves as moderators in school, in universities, and also let me put the name of gavel, being a gavelier, being a toastmaster. How can these extracurriculars be a benefit for a student to develop and present as a public speaker when we are in a job or when we are presenting ourselves?
Yeah, Malshi, I think it's a fantastic question, right? So the fact is, everyone has talent, right? Everyone has talent, but you need to develop the talent into a skill. And once you develop the talent into a skill, you need a platform to put it into practice. So these gavel clubs, Toastmasters clubs, as you said, associations, societies, debating competitions, media units, so on and so forth, all these help in you practicing and developing your skill through practice. But that's why students need to get into this. It's not only education, because you feel the value of it. Now, since you all are undergraduates, you all feel the value of getting into these extracurricular activities when you're in university. But back when you were in school, you didn't really feel the value of it. Maybe some of you all are working, and when you're given a project, when you're assigned a project, do you know how important doing extracurricular activities and how that helps in delivering that project successfully? So that is the background. You need to groom yourself from school, university, and also at companies that you're working for. Get involved in other work. Very important. You develop various skills. It's not only public speaking, but many other skills, coordination, so on and so forth, right? Connecting dots. So even as a public speaker, you need to, when you're preparing a script, you need to connect the dots. That's how you create that story. Likewise, the platform, extracurricular activities are the platform for you to put your skills into practice. So if you take myself, so I'm always grateful to my school, because the school media unit set the platform for me to be on TV for 15 years. I'm always grateful to my school. So that is the foundation you have. When you're in university, get involved in societies, talk to people, take leadership, grab opportunities, because opportunities only come once in life. They don't come twice, right? So you need to create that impression in others that you can do this. Yeah? You don't get a second chance to create the first impression, right? So public speaking will help you do that.
Yes, sir. So also we might not get a second chance to develop our skills as well. Also
Absolutely.
not to make our first impression. And also if you
Absolutely.
gave up your first chance that came to you to be a news anchor, if you said, okay, I'm not ready yet, I'll try it in the next year. So then you might not be the Sasanka Dias that we know today.
Exactly. So I grabbed the opportunity and then just took it. And from
Yes.
that day, you keep on developing. It's a matter of perseverance. You were in your question, you had a part where you said it's very hard for us to find time to practice when we are working in an organization. But if you are persevering, you are able to find that time. You manage your time to practice public speaking as well. Right. So there are various aspects when you get into public speaking. You need to practice your breathing, you need to practice your tonality, vocal exercises. So all these matter when you become a public speaker.
Yes, sir. And although we say you should take the first chance that comes to you, there can be instances like, as I mentioned in my introduction, of course, public speaking is the world's #1 fear. Am I correct on that part, sir?
Yes, that's right.
Yes. So there are people who are shy. There are people who are fearing for this. Like this might not be a simple fear. This can be deadly, because I have heard of stories like that. So, sir, as many people are experiencing these embarrassments, like they feel like they are embarrassing themselves in front of an audience. Okay, if I make a mistake, I'm gonna be embarrassed. I can't speak in English, because if I speak in English and if I make a mistake, okay, I'm gonna be embarrassed. And also the same thing also goes for singing for our own mother tongue. So this shyness, fear, embarrassing, which is coming from ourselves, which are of course natural feelings of a human being. But still, sir, how can we avoid these kind of fears and present ourselves to an audience?
Yeah, so there are two parts to this answer, right? So one is, you talked about the fear. Right? So I'll tell all of you watching this, try this out, right? Before you go in front of an audience, this is something that you can do to overcome your fear. Right? All of you are using smartphones, right? Okay. So that smartphone has a camera where you can record a video. All right. So you prepare a speech for yourself, right? Record it on camera and you watch it. Right? This is a way to practice public speaking. So I always ask students to have their own YouTube channels, because it really helps in developing your public speaking skill, as well as spreading the knowledge. Now we have, I don't know how many are here, but so you'll have knowledge in various disciplines. Right? If you take 25 people here, 25 disciplines, you can share that knowledge in your own YouTube channel. And that in turn helps you developing your public speaking skill. Right? So to overcome that fear, so and you're doing it and watching it for yourself. You're not sending it, you're not circulating it through WhatsApp groups, no. You're watching it to yourself. And you can identify the mistakes. So if you're not satisfied with it, you can re-record. So likewise, second time, if you're not satisfied, do it for 50 times, not a problem. It's just you, right? It's just you. So this is something that I have practiced, right? And the second part to the answer is, Malshi, we should not be shy to speak in the second language. Don't worry even if you make a mistake, because it's your second language. You should worry if you make a mistake in your mother tongue. That is a crime. That is a deadly crime. But English is a second language. Speak. Because even for us, even for myself, if I don't talk in English for a long time, that fluency goes off. It's also practice. So that's why you need to keep on practicing. Talk with your friends, talk at home, speak with your parents in English, so on and so forth. And watch movies, watch TV series, listen to podcasts, various ways that you can learn English. And I see a lot of people, a lot of content on social media teaching English. So that's a good trend. So I'm talking about the international content. So even when you watch these guides, you will definitely learn from them. So don't be afraid to talk in English or speak in English. Go for it. And maybe starting from tomorrow, try recording videos. You create your own script, talk to your smartphone camera, and play back and see for yourself, because you're the best critic of yourself, and then you will improve.
Exactly, sir. So I think nobody is being shy about themselves because they can't speak in Japanese. But still, when they are making a mistake in English, the same thing,
Exactly.
which is a second language, they feel like they are embarrassed. So
Exactly.
as you told, this is not something that we should be embarrassed about ourselves. Again, so now you told that we should record this. We should this is a wonderful technique that you told us by using our mobile phone. So again, some people are thinking, okay, now you know English because you went to an international school. Okay, now you know public speaking because you have trained yourself from an institute or something. So, sir, can this public speaking be improved by training alone? Are there any other tactics or any other facts that we need to improve in this particular aspect, sir? Are there anything else that you can add to the previous thing?
Yeah, so watching videos, watch other people speak, look at their body language. Now, if you really take, for example, the best example that I can quote here is TED Talks, right? I think all of you have watched TEDx conferences, so TED Talks. So you have various personalities from diverse disciplines delivering presentation, public speaking. That is public speaking at the apex, right? So look at the body language, look at their tonality, look at the confidence, look at the way they interact with the audience. So these are things that you have to do. This is part of the homework as well. So throughout this conversation, you will have enough and more information that you can include in your homework from tomorrow, right? So when you're becoming a public speaker, what I tell you today can be used universally forever, right? You need to put in your effort and then work hard and identify your mistakes and improve, right? So don't worry, because humans make mistakes. And mistake is not a mistake until it's committed twice, right? So that's what you have to remember. And coming back to the answer, what I really want to tell you is it's about the various aspects, connecting the dots, as I told you earlier, watching videos, listen to podcasts, look at the way they speak, listen to the way they speak. And that will give you a clear idea. And when you listen to these podcasts, the stories of these guests, they will tell you how they have improved in a particular skill. What have they done? So these are learnings, right? So what I'm telling you now, all that I have gathered from maybe my reading, watching videos, listening to podcasts, or maybe talking to people, you learn. So this learning can be used in your public speaking, when you're sharing your knowledge, sharing your experience, so on and so forth. So remember that you have to have your research done properly, get into your homework, work hard. That is really important. And make sure that you do it 100%, that you give out 100% of yourself in improving the skill, because this will be beneficial for you, whatever job you take up. So work hard. If you want to shine like the sun, you have to burn like the sun, right? So always remember that. Same
Exactly,
story for
exactly.
public speaking.
Yes. So as you told, the TED Talks are also, in additionally, the world champion speeches. Because when I was personally training myself for public speeches or something like that, I'll always go through them, because
Yes.
they can also give you idea, as well as these videos have really helped me to boost my confidence and the motivation that I have within myself, because they are
Spot
very
on.
confident on the stage. By saying
Exactly.
that, we feel like, why can't I do that then? The same
Spot on.
kind,
So
yes.
yeah, so I think there's something that I want to mention here, right? You all have heard Jack Ma's story, right? Do you know how he has learned English? So let me share the story. So he had worked as a tour guide, right? And he tells the tourists, okay, tomorrow I will take you to these places. These are the locations that I'll be taking you to. For that, you don't pay money, but you teach English, right? So in exchange of the service that he provides as a tour guide, he learns English from the tourists. And as a Chinese, he's one of the best public speakers in the world, if you have listened to his speeches. So if Jack Ma can do that, why can't you?
True. And even back on those days, we didn't have this kind of technology and the facilities that we have today. So today it's
Exactly.
like, it's a distance of a fingerprint, I think.
Exactly. Just a matter of a tap. Just tap on your phone, you have the world in your hand, right? The
Indeed,
world at your
sir.
fingertips.
So, when talking about this public speaking, and you told us earlier, we have to create stories, we have to keep the audience engaged, and all those. So, I'm coming for different questions, sir.
Okay.
So, when we are presenting ourselves, of course, we need to be practiced. We need to practice. We need to be prepared and everything. But still, should we directly give our idea to the public, or should we have a particular frame? Of course, you mentioned about a script, but again, I'm coming for the same part of the same question, because I need you to elaborate more on that particular part. So, like, how should we frame, or should we frame our ideas when we are presenting ourselves?
Yes, so that's a great question. So you need to reframe your thoughts when you're a public speaker. Right? You can't memorize. I told you to prepare a script. Yes, that's correct. But you can't memorize what you're doing. And don't ever try to do it. This is something to do with your work. You need to talk through. Because if you memorize and if you forget a word while you're delivering the speech, you're in trouble. You're definitely in trouble. So always remember, improve your vocabulary. There are various ways that you can improve your vocabulary. Read. Especially if you're a public speaker, you have to read. Read books, magazines, online articles, whatever you get, read. And listen to podcasts, as I told you, listen to other people talk, listen to other speeches, world leaders, so on and so forth. And it's a matter of improving by learning, right? Have this attitude. You need to have an attitude where you have to think this for yourself. What I know is a drop, and what I don't know is an ocean. So every day you learn, every day in, day out. If you spend a day without learning something, that day is wasted. Try to learn something. So the answer to the question is it's about learning, and you need to have an attitude where you can accept feedback as well. Now you're delivering a speech and you have an audience and you get feedback, right? That feedback can be negative or positive. Somehow it's feedback. So they have listened to you. So think in that way. So if it's negative, you accept, correct it. And if it's positive, you can't be overconfident or complacent. Just maintain that, right? So I think, yes, that's my answer, Malshi.
Yes, sir. You told us to reframe, like this. The idea that we're gonna speak should not be framed, but it should be reframed and reframed till we go on the stage.
Yeah. So let me elaborate on the reframing aspect, right? So reframe, as in you have maybe 5 points in your mind, right? So these are the 5 points that you'll be talking about. And first, you start with a point. So that's the initial point. You talk through, and gradually you move on to the second, likewise third, fourth, and fifth, right? So then you are clear to what you're saying. And this should be planned. As I told you earlier, you can't confuse the audience. First, you finish the first point, the second, third, fourth, fifth, right? So never memorize, talk from your vocabulary so that people will also see that you're a lively speaker. Right? You're a lively public speaker. You don't memorize. Because when your vocabulary is powerful, you don't need to memorize. And always, I think I'm telling this to everyone, maybe your team and also the audience. You can be a student, undergraduate, or an employee, a corporate or an organization. Always read and do whatever you can to improve your vocabulary. Vocabulary is an integral element if you want to become a public speaker. You can't get stuck when you're talking. That's why you need a powerful vocabulary. So if your vocabulary is not powerful, what does it say? It says that you don't read. You don't find information. You don't explore sufficiently. So you need to get into that practice. And reading helps you becoming a leader. I don't know, maybe you represent various faculties of the university, but whatever career you take up, you need this. You will become leaders one day. So to become a leader, you need the public speaking skill.
Indeed, sir. As you mentioned about memorizing, although we have a very wonderful script we prepared with on our hand, when we are on the stage, everything goes blank. We say something totally different to the script, but still, we have to have the points in our mind. We can go out of the words, we can change the words, but the same idea should be delivered, should be projected to the audience. That is Absolutely. What you mentioned, yes.
Exactly. So,
yes.
And the other thing is, in case if you forget a word or forget an idea, maybe you reframe thoughts. You might forget one idea, right? Or something that you wanted to say. Don't lose your calm. Be focused, right? You have to keep your cool. Don't lose your calm. Keep your cool. But then the audience knows that you will somehow play the game, right? Because you can't show that to the audience that you have forgotten something. These are techniques. So I'll tell you, when I read news, right? Sometimes I make mistakes while I'm reading. So then I was told once I was born. So that was, I think, my fourth bulletin or something, the fourth bulletin in my life, right? So I was warned, if you make a mistake in the next bulletin, you can say thank you very much and go off. So you're out. So from that day onwards, I don't make mistakes. So I was very careful when I was presenting. So likewise, you need to set that limit for yourself. Right? Improve yourself every day, as I told you. So coming back to your question, focus is really important, because when you're focused, you won't lose calm. You'll be cool. And then the audience will know that you will somehow play the game.
Exactly, sir. So again, I'm coming for a question which we already discussed, but I need you to like a bit of summarize everything into this particular question, because we can, like, if we are getting notes, that would be really great for us, sir.
Exactly.
So I'm again asking, like, what are the qualities does a speaker need to have in order to project the exact message to the audience mind?
Yeah, okay. So number one is preparation, right? You can write preparation as number one. And you can also take research. Maybe you take research first, preparation second, right? And then practice, confidence, body language, eye contact, right? And the variation of your tonality. When you're speaking, you don't speak in one tone. Then it's monotonous, then it's boring to the audience. But you change the tone. If I spoke in one tone, okay, Malshi, now it's like this, so on and so forth. Likewise, right? You don't want to listen to it. Right? And you just get fed up. So that's why you need to change your tone when you're speaking. It's very important. The tonality creates the emotion, right? And always remember, this is one point. You can note it down as the last factor or a quality or whatever. Enjoy when you're delivering a speech or whatever presentation. Enjoy. It's just blissful, right? Enjoy, because then you'll do more. You'll do better, right? Live that moment. A few years ago, BBC had this slogan saying, live the story. So it's exactly that. It's the real feeling that you get. You have to live in it. When you're delivering a speech, live in that situation. When you're hosting an event, live in it. Enjoy. Because you're in control. You're a host, you're in control of the entire audience. Maybe the president is in the audience, but you're the host. Right? If you ask the president to stand up, he has to do it. Look at the power that you have. It's the same when you're a public speaker. That's the command. So this command is built through your voice, the tonality, the style, and your uniqueness. Don't try to be someone else. Everyone else is taken. It's you. Be yourself. World worships the original.
Wonderful, sir. So I got like 8 facts about research, preparation, practice, confidence, body language, eye contact, tone variations, and enjoy the speech. I have heard this same thing, because no matter how many trophies that you're holding as a speaker, if you haven't enjoyed your speech on stage,
Absolutely.
I have heard this thought, sir. So
Absolutely.
exactly, yes, exactly what you mentioned in this. And also in addition to this, as we spoke in our earlier questions as the answers, the attire, the positivity that we have, because we need to be more positive to repel the negativity coming from the audience, if there is any.
Exactly.
So positivity, our attire, the confidence and everything will make a very good public speaker. And when we practice more and more, we can be a perfect character. We can't be perfect, but still better than yesterday. So something like that. So we are coming to our questions, the very last question for the day. This would be, so as you are a very well experienced speaker, a news anchor, what kind of advice would you like to provide for the generation here, who is about to overtake the next to overtake the future? So what would you like to tell us to aspire them to be good public speakers in the future?
Yeah, so take this into mind. What you have to understand is that public speaking is a leadership skill, right? You're becoming leaders. It's not you're getting into media or journalism, so on and so forth, but you become leaders in your domain that you specialize in. So remember to read, gather information as much as you can, study about public speaking. So I'll mention, there's a book called The Art of Public Speaking by Dale Carnegie, right? And it just tells you everything about public speaking, right? Just everything. So let me tell you this as well. So I watched a documentary recently about Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett is one of the richest people in the world, right? He's an investor. You know about him. If you're into finance, management and all that, you know who Warren Buffett is. So there was a documentary about him. And in that, he says he's qualified. He has a lot of paper qualifications. He's done his master's, so on and so forth. He has pursued Dale Carnegie's course on public speaking, right? But the only certificate he has in his office is Dale certificate, because that's the value public speaking brings to you. And I just wanted to tell you that story, because if you can watch that documentary, please go and watch it. There is a scene where it shows that the Dale Carnegie public speaking certificate is on his wall in his office. So that's the power of public speaking. You can change the world when you are a good public speaker. So improve yourself every day. Learn something new, right? Always think positive, because public speakers have to be positive, right? You have to respond to the problems that you face. Don't react to the problems you face, right? So improve that positivity, get into the proper mindset, spread positivity as much as you can. And as a public speaker, you can influence, you can positively influence people. You can get people to do that. But before that, you have to change yourself, then you can change the world.
Yes, sir, that's wonderful. Would you mind on repeating the name again, sir, to watch the documentary?
So it's an HBO documentary about Warren Buffett, right? So when you Google it or type it on YouTube, you'll find it. So I think it's from 2017. Watch it. You'll learn a lot for your life. And there is a small part about public speaking, and he elaborates on it, and he values it. He values it very much, because that's the only certificate he has in his office. He knows the value of public speaking. So you need to develop your public speaking skill. And the reason is, as we're talking about future, right? you have to be able to moderate an event because you have physical events, virtual events, and hybrid events now. That's the era, right? So you should be able to moderate an event, be a speaker at an event, host an event, so on and so forth. So you should be able to do everything. Then you get highlighted even in your organization. But this has a lot of homework to be done, right? You need to work hard, right? When talent doesn't work hard, that is, so you say, there's a famous saying, right? When talent doesn't work hard, hard work beats talent. When talent doesn't work hard work beats talent. So you need to put in your hard work to this, right? There is nothing happens overnight. Now, if you start doing what I told you to do from tomorrow, right? You won't see the results the day after, right? Don't think in that way. Continuously do it. You need to be consistent, persistent, and have patience. Be patient, consistent, persistent, and patient. Right? So
Yes.
remember that. Do your homework. You'll conquer the world one day.
Yes, sir. Although our prepared questions are over, we are still open for the questions from the audience. So I would like to remind, if you have any questions regarding the session to ask from our resource person for the day, please send them to the chat box. So, sir, as I told you earlier, this is personally one of my passionate areas. So I have kind of a few questions to ask from you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what do you think about time management when we are doing this public speaking? Is this relevant, or should our idea be more lengthy? You told us to keep it simple, but still I'm asking, should this go beyond the time given, or should there be a particular time frame, or at what point should we give the most peak idea, like in every content that we make to give to the audience, there is the most important part. At what point should we give this fact out? Is it at the beginning, middle, or the end?
Yeah, so I think, in my opinion, this may have various people may have various ideas about this. So in my opinion, I believe climax, or saying what you have to say, or the most important thing at the end, really works. So that's where you leave the stage, and people will remember that. People will remember what you say at the end than at the beginning, right? And the other point is, we talked about. Can you repeat the question, Malshi, please?
Yes, sir. I was asking, when we are delivering something, should how this time should be managed, and
Exactly.
at what point? Yes.
Got it. So time management is really important, because sometimes you have to deliver speeches at an event, right? So depending on the agenda, you have a tight schedule. So you need to finish on time. And on the other hand, attention spans are very less now. People don't want to know, even if you want to watch something on social media, it's not lengthy. It's very short. If it's short, you'll watch. Otherwise, you won't. So likewise, sticking to your time, the time allocated to you, is really important. These are paramount importance, because when it's lengthy, you create a different impression, maybe negative. So when you're on time, then I think that's the way forward. So time management is really important when you're delivering a public speech.
Indeed, sir. And we have got a very wonderful question. Okay, now that is a direct message for me. So this question is, in my perspective, I see this as very important because there can be confusions among students. Which is more important? Is it content or our delivery?
All right. Fabulous question.
Yes, it is.
So content is important, but I think more than that, delivery is the climax. As I told you, it's the practical aspect. Your content can be good, but if your delivery is not up to standard or not up to the level, right? Because that's where you influence people. Now, in the content, when you're preparing with your content, you will have a quote. Maybe you include a quote mentioned by someone else. But when you're delivering it, if you're not delivering it in an influential way or in a way that it goes into the minds of people, there is a problem. So delivery is really important. I think delivery comes first, content is second. So because you need to prepare the content, but the ultimate is the delivery. So you have to practice the delivery. That's why you need to practice as much as you can. So I think, yes, that's a great question. Thank you very much for that question. Delivery is really important.
Indeed, sir. And also, this is an area which popped out of my mind that we didn't touch in our questions.
Okay.
About stage handling during public speaking. How a stage should be handled, like how to use a stage. Should we be standing in the middle of the stage? Should we walk around? And also, I'm taking audience as a part of this question. Should we be interactive with the audience? Can we ask questions from them? What would be your idea on this, sir?
Yes, I think in the modern world, you should not stand in one place and do the talking, right? Because when you're walking as in you should have a limit. So maybe you walk 5 or 6 steps, then you stop, then you start talking, right? And while you're talking, you can use your body language, so on and so forth. Because body language has a lot of impact when you're delivering. So, and in the modern world, interacting with the audience is really important. Because the audience is ready to answer the questions, right? So there you create a fruitful conversation. You create a productive forum, a credible forum, right? So what you need to really get into your mind is ask questions from the audience, get the answers, and have that conversation and go on. But then again, it depends on the time that you have. You need to manage the time as well while you're handling the stage. So you can't walk around the stage while you're talking. It doesn't look nice, and it looks hilarious as well, right? So there is a certain limit that you can walk and talk. Then you stop there, you continue with the flow, using your body language, eye contact, so on and so forth.
Yes, sir. Because I have seen when one is shy and also when panicking, to give out that stress out of the body, they'll be like walking around the stage and keep on talking, which like don't keep the focus of the audience to the content, but for the work of the speaker.
Yes,
So
exactly.
as you told, the work also should be limited, and also you should not stand in a particular place and keep on talking. It should be
Exactly.
lively.
So, absolutely. So, Malshi, what I'm sharing here is my practical experience, because now the audience here, your team and the audience here, students or undergraduates, so on and so forth. So you may be part of Toastmasters clubs or Gavel clubs, so on and so forth, right? But I don't know whether you will believe, I was not part of anything. I was only part of the media unit. I'm not a Toastmaster, I'm not from a Gavel club, right? But I learned from them, right? So because I was a news anchor, right? I have to say what is in the script, but I have to present. That's a different style. But this is a skill that I built up totally by the homework that I did, right? So watching videos, listening to people, talking to people, right? So what you need to really get into your mind is, if you do it, if you take action, you will go the extra mile, right? So when you go the extra mile, there is no traffic.
Indeed, sir. Now, this is something I wanted to ask from you also, because
Hmm.
here we are undergraduates and we all are also maybe from the age range, if you take like 20 to 24. So if you
All right.
take now, there can be a student who thinks, okay, now I'm past my time lab because I didn't do anything in my school. I can't do it now in the university. I don't have time. I have a degree to follow. I do many other professional courses. I have to do earning. Okay, undergraduate is full of all these things. But still, are we late to catch this up? I need a few motivative words from you, sir, just to cheer up the audience.
You're never late, right? That's a single line answer. You're never late. Because in psychology, right, there is something called by the age until you reach 29 years, you won't identify your passion. So until such time, you will experiment. You will do a lot of jobs. You will do various things. You will get involved in many societies, charities, so on and so forth. After 29, you need to identify your passion. Then you will identify your passion, right? So you're never too late. Right? You're never too late. It's just that create that mindset. Get into this, right? If you have not spoken in front of an audience as yet, when you get an opportunity, take it. Just take it. That's my advice, right? So you're going to do it. I'm telling you this. I was in the same situation, right? I was an undergraduate. I graduated 10 years ago, right? Yeah, 10 years ago. So long time, right? So I worked full time when I was in the university. I used to work 17 hours. 17 hours. So 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. because I was working full time in media. I read all the hourly bulletins. I read the main bulletins until they found people to read the hourly bulletins. So I had to read all the bulletins. I have read about 10 bulletins a day those days. So sometimes there were instances where so I sign off at 10 p.m. On the following day, 7 a.m. I had to read the news again. So there were instances where I fell asleep on the news desk because I was so tired, right? So that's the journey. That's the beauty of it. And always remember, don't be afraid to fail. If you have not tasted failure, you can't taste success. Keep that in mind, right? Don't be afraid to fail. Do it. You'll fail. Not a problem. Do it again. That's the journey. That's what you'll have to say when you go forward about 10 or 15 years. 10 or 15 years fast forward, you have a story to tell. That's your story, right? Okay. And always remember to create a legacy, right? If someone can say your name and tell, okay, this guy has done good to the world, that's it. That is what you need.
Yes.
Nothing material matters, but the legacy you leave matters. That's universal.
Wonderful, sir, because as you told, the failures that we have along our journey will finally give us a wonderful story to our audience. to
Absolutely.
make up their lives. And
Exactly.
also, sir, I have received a question. I think this is because you're a news anchor. I have received
Okay.
this.
Okay.
So it is asking like how to be a news anchor. Like the first step to be that, maybe applying or something. I don't know whether for what point it is being projected into.
Yeah. So let me get into it in this way, right? To be a news anchor, first you have to watch news, right? That's number one, because you need to understand the setup. There is a certain way that you read news. There is a difference between reading and presenting. You're given a news script. If you read it without pauses, right, it's reading. Okay. Presenting is different. You need to understand what you read or what you present. That is presenting. Right? So you can read as a parrot, but you can't present as a parrot. No, you can't do that. Right? You have to really understand what you're saying. So the first step is you need to watch news and understand the flow of news. Right? So understand the flow of news and look at again the body language, the way they present. These are all important things, right? And on the other hand, in terms of applying, maybe I think you definitely, I don't know whether this was raised by an undergraduate or a student, but if you're a student, if you're still in school, you need to finish your school, right? If it's a student. But undergraduates, of course, yes, you can go forward with it. So if you're really interested, let me know. Maybe I can help you. Yeah. But the homework once again is watching the news, right? Learn from it. You need to do a bit of a study, and you need to be aware of what's happening around the world. Be in touch with current affairs. Watch news, similar bulletins, English bulletins, international news, whatnot. Right? Various ways that you can get in touch with news these days. Right? So yeah. So being a news anchor, yeah, you'll create more social value. People know you, right? But and it doesn't happen overnight. Once again, right? It doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey. It's a journey. So I I think now, of course, you have a lot of competitions that you can take part, so on and so forth. So when we were schooling, there was only one competition that was like recognized. So a lot of opportunities. It's just that you need to explore, and once you get it, grab them.
And also you can get a self-satisfaction by seeing yourself on TV. Isn't that, as you told?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Maybe so when I was on TV, when I watched my first bulletin, I was embarrassed, right? I'm seeing myself on TV. It was like something unusual, something not normal, right? But then again, as time progresses, it becomes usual, right?
Yes, sir. So for today's session, I think that was a very wonderful session which added like a heap of value to all of us. Thank you very much for taking time from your very busy schedule. Like it's a more than 1 hour and 30 minutes from your schedule on behalf of us, sir. So with that,
Yes,
because
thank you very
yes,
much.
sir.
Let me say this, Malshi. Thank you very much to the Vikings Club of the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. I think Vihangi, thank you very much for inviting me, and Malshi, thank you so much for coming up with those wonderful questions. And thank you to the wonderful audience for staying with us for about 1.5 hours. Yeah, 90 minutes. And listening to what I said. Thanks for your patience. And I wish all of you success. And there's only one thing that I have to say. Be an influencer, not an influencer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. So with that, as we are running out of our time, let me conclude our today's session. First of all, again, I would like to thank Mr. Sasanka Dias for being a part of our session today and taking time from your very busy schedule. Also next, my thanks goes to our executive board and the professional skills team behind this session for organizing such a wonderful session with a wonderful resource person today. Last but not least, I would like to thank all our participants for joining with us today. Please make sure to fill the Google form, which we have already sent a link to our chat box. So with that suggestions we are getting from you, we would be able to plan a wonderful session again. Till we meet you with another wonderful session, stay safe and have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you so much, Mr. Sasanka Dias, for being our resource person for the day and for giving out all those wonderful ideas to us. I'm pretty sure we will do homework from tomorrow and be wonderful public speakers because as you told, if talent doesn't work, hard work will do. Thank you so much, sir. So signing off for the day, this is Malshi from Vikings Club from University of Sri Jawadhanapura. Have a good night. Thank you for being a part of our session today.